can give you the normal ways on how to get into film, but right now it is so cutthroat that there's not a lot going around. The traditional ways and how you're going to get jobs. And I put this number one for a reason. Now, contacts are number one. I got this question the other day. I think it was a comment, and I was asked, I have already broken in, but I'm still looking to go full time. And the first thing I told them, unfortunately, just how this live stream started, was this is a bad time to kind of look forward to full-time work, because they said that they were tired of living this double life, right? Like, I lived a double life in film for, I don't know, goodness me, like 5-6 years trying to build my film career. Okay, like I was working as a day player, as a set PA day player, and I'd have like a string of weeks and weeks of me being on set, but then I'd be on the weekends, I would still be a barista, making those lattes and cappuccinos on the weekends, okay? And because I was just so fearful of not keeping that day, those day player days coming in and me getting week after week, I still kept that job just because, like, I don't know when it's gonna end. So I was working 7 days a week, y'all. I was like Monday through Friday. If I had like a really good month, I was working Monday through Friday. I still worked sometimes. So I worked Saturdays, definitely worked always Saturday nights, because no one at that cafe wanted to work Saturday nights. So I had a flexible job, and sometimes I would work Sunday mornings too. So I was doing that for quite a while. So some people don't have the persistence to withstand the type of timeline that is going to be given to you when you're starting out in film. A lot of people don't want to, believe that it's going to take that long, but it does. And a lot of people are like, well, I graduated school, then I should be able to get a job. Well, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. A lot of people have shorter timelines, longer timeline. Everyone is going to have a different timeline. Okay. So when this person told me they're like sick of doing this double life, I was like, yo, that is going to be your life for a hot minute. But also because of the strike, that's definitely not the expectation you should have right now. Because if you're expecting to get full-time work right now when there's like nothing shooting, that is totally not realistic. I'm sorry, point blank period, I have to tell you it's not realistic. You are expecting full-time work when people who have established their careers for 20, 25 years are not working on set right now. So let's just take it back for a second. The expectations, you have to kind of like lower them down, or at least make them more realistic. Your contacts are going to be the one thing, and this is what I told them. People you've worked with before, people you know, people you've worked with in the industry. Now, for people who are just starting out, you need to get around those types of people. And how do you do that, right? Facebook groups. Let's just cross the first one out. If we cross the first one out, we don't have any contacts, you are brand spanking new to the industry, you need to build your circle. You need to build your network. This is where you got to get bold. You got to get audacious. You have to have the audacity. You have to have the bold, like you have to be fearless. You have to be definitely brave enough to put yourself out there, get outside your comfort zone, get into those Facebook groups, apply to posts. Even if you think that you are not ready for a certain job, apply. You have no idea what the person is looking for. You may feel characteristics and chemistry and personality and how you vibe together and like how you guys both have passion for the same thing will go further than certain skills you have. And this is why I preach soft skills on your resume, because sometimes I will find something in the soft skills that I can resonate with. Whereas I don't care if you have all the skills. Sometimes like we can train you on certain skills. We can teach you what we need for our company or for our set or whatever. Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to apply to jobs that you think may be out of your reach. Definitely just go for it. And a lot of people are like, F Facebook, I'm not on Facebook anymore, metadata, blah, 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 getting hacked, blah, blah, blah. Like, listen, I've gotten so many jobs from Facebook groups more than any other thing on this list except for my contacts. Okay, and there's a reason why it's number 2. And continuously over and over and over again, all the professionals that I talk to, people who have been in the business for 20 years, 15 years, just starting out, people who are script supervisors, assistant directors, producers, they all say when they need to go back and expand their circle and need to find a job, they go to Facebook groups. Now, what do you do with Facebook groups? And I feel like some people are like, oh, but you're saying Facebook groups, what about them, right? So what about Facebook groups? And I preach this to my class, my set PA class. I preach it all the time, as many times as I can, out to the world, because people just don't believe me. When you're on Facebook groups, you want to make sure you're searching for the right groups, like your city, country, city, or whatever, like, okay, Chicago film production. You are searching Chicago film production and a bunch of groups are going to come up, right? In those groups, a lot of the times they're going to be posting jobs. Could be for a short film, for a commercial, could be B-roll for a documentary, whatever the case may be. They have certain things that are going to be in your area. They may have certain like community challenges or film festival volunteer workshops, trainings, whatever. It's so many things are going to be happening in your area that you just have no idea about. So search your city, wherever it is in the world. Doesn't, because Facebook's all over the world, guys. So wherever you are in the world, your city plus film production or film jobs or film industry or TV and film or whatever. Maybe you're trying to become an editor. They have specific groups for editors that are going to be a community, like a global community in that group. I think my first staff job as a set production assistant, as a background PA, was because I answered an ad from one of the ADs. He's actually a friend of mine now, where he was looking for someone for a background runner. I submitted, our background PA, submitted my resume. We were both from like the same area. He went to the same college as me, and I got on the job. And that was like my first staff job. And if I didn't apply, at the moment of applying for that job, did not think that I had what it took. And this is a whole self-worth issue as well. We're going to talk about that stuff later. But I didn't think that I was like, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to get this job, but I'm still going to try. Like, I got out of my comfort zone, and then I got that job. And that job led to the next staff job, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And now I'm an AD in the DGA. Yeah, sorry. It all just leads to where I want to go, right? So Facebook groups are definitely there. Also, make sure you put your notifications on for that group. You want to make sure you're notified when posts go up in that group. Another thing, be one of the first, because you're notified that those posts went up, you want to be the first people to answer those posts that are putting jobs up. If you are there an hour or two, do you think you're going to be considered? You may, I don't know. They might be looking for someone that's very skilled. Like, I mean, I was looking for a second AD one time for Rochester, and man, it was slim pickings. I will say that. It was slim pickings, so I was looking for a while, more than an hour. But those lower entry-level jobs, and especially if you go in Local Zero Heroes, they have like 20,000 members in those groups. You got to be quick. You got to be real quick. And make sure you follow directions. Oh my God. I cannot stress this enough, folks. I want you to realize, if the person that is posting the job, just realize that person probably is going to be your boss. They're hiring you, right? If they say, email me at here, email that person there. If they say, comment below, then comment below. If they say, put your resume in my DMs or reach out to me in my DMs, blah, 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 then do that. There have been so many times that people will read the post and say, hiring a gaffer. And then they'll be like, blah, 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 and then put their email, whatever, in the comments. And that's not what they wanted, right? And when I was looking for a second AD, when I posted it in one of these Rochester film groups, like 2% of the people that applied to me followed directions. Did I want you to bother me in my DMs? No. Did I want you to comment below your email, blah, blah, blah? No. What I wanted you to do was email me here your resume. That's all I wanted. Just a quick word about you, email your resume to me. And like 2% of the people that applied follow directions. I think that when you're looking for an assistant director has to have an attention to detail. I need to know that they're paying attention. And if they're not gonna pay attention to the post and how I want them to apply for the job, do you think I'm gonna hire them? So, moral of the story is, just follow the directions of whatever the post is asking for when you're applying to these jobs in Facebook groups. So, the next thing I wanna talk about is the apps. Available app on CrewMeUp. Now, I know both these fellas who own these apps, who have created these apps, and Ben from the Available app, he is great. I love talking to him, and it's just a way to kind of put your resume, your profile on an app and hire people, and you can form certain groups, and CrewMeUp does a similar thing, and Josh, who runs CrewMeUp, he is also amazing, and that he's really done a great deal of work to make the app better and better, and having like the second version, and you can that there's groups, you can hire people out there. You have your calendar, your profile, and looking for certain vendors and stuff. So both those apps are definitely useful if you're just starting out, like bare bones, just starting out. I definitely recommend both of them. I haven't had any need for them, but also like I am not a fan of using another app. It may be for you, it may not be for you. I definitely encourage you to use them, but if it's not for you, it's not for you. Like I understand. Like some people, like I don't want another app on my phone. Like, I already have a bunch of shit on my phone. I don't want another app. And also how I get jobs is mostly from the top two things here, my contacts and my Facebook groups. So I already have a way of getting jobs. And also if you're looking to hire people, that is another way to get people. So it's a way to get jobs, but also the way to hire people as well. So it goes both ways with both those apps. Next thing I'm going to talk about is networking events. And networking events can be a lot of different things. It could be say you are shooting on a show, or say your friend is on a show and then they get together with some film friends and you get together with that friend and they get together on some side thing that they're doing and they go out to dinner or drink whatever and you go, that's a networking event. If you get invited out to rap drinks, that is a networking event. If you go to an actual just film industry networking event there are a lot of events on Eventbrite. You just put film industry and then events will pop up, workshops will pop up, trainings will pop up, and you can join them. Some are free, some are not. Most of them are very low cost, and you're networking. When you are in an atmosphere or a facility or a whatever event that you're doing where you're around people, that is networking. When you talk to someone you do not know or you are with a friend and they introduce you to their friends, that is expanding your circle and that is networking. Okay? And I hate the word networking, and I'm trying to get more and more comfortable with the word networking, because networking in my brain, when I visualize networking, it's like you have like a center, there's a nucleus, and there's like little things that go off and around, right? So I'm creating a network. And when I think about network, I think about like for some reason the graphic of like the computers and how like the system networking of computers and IT in a company. It's really weird how my brain works sometimes. But when I visualize networking, it's just about I have connections to different amount of people. I have certain circles in certain areas and whatever, right? I like to call it building relationships, making connections, having relationships, building friendships even. And yes, there are some, now I know there are some projects where like, oh, we're a family. Well, we're not all a family, first of all, but there are going to be people that you work with that you're going to be very attached to very quickly, and you're going to remember for the rest of your life, and you're going to love working with them, you're going to remember them, and then because you are remembered or you remember them, you're going to want to hire them, or they're going to want to hire you. So your networking events is a lot of things. It's not just going to that random event where you don't know anybody. It is helpful to do that. And other types of networking events is going to certain screenings. Maybe you finished a short film 2 years ago. Maybe you finished a feature film 2 years ago and it's finally screening. Go to it, because what happens is you're meeting people that you haven't seen in forever, right? Like maybe the producer goes, maybe the director goes, maybe you like bonded with some other people and you go to the screening and you're like, oh yeah, it was really fun working with them. I haven't seen them since I've worked with them. So you get to reinforce the connection that you have. Remember, out of sight, out of mind. It's very, very, very true. Out of sight, out of mind. So if you're not at the front of their mind, how are they going to hire you? How are they going to remember you to hire you? So when you go to these types of things, you're like reinforcing the relationship that you had. They're going to remember how great you were to work with and all this stuff. And it's going to be like such a magical moment. And they're like, oh my God, yes, I'm working with you again. But season 1, the first season of The Equalizer, Queen Latifah, I have a core group of friends that I am fiercely friends with. And when I need to hire people, I think of them. But most of the time they're working, so I can't really work with them. So we have to find time to hang out. But then I can reach out to them for people that they know, and I get their recommendations. So like when we hang out, it's like reinforcing that connection, right? So networking events are very useful. Now, for someone like myself who is, a lot of people are like, Amber, you're not social awkward. Like sometimes I still have that, like have grown to a certain type of being, right? I'm like, oh, I'm this confident, like funny, talkative, whatever person. And I sometimes find myself looking back to who I was 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, where I was a little bit more quiet, where I felt very uncomfortable, where I felt like no one really notices me. I have this very, very big problem. And if anyone else has this problem, please let me know, because I think it's just a me thing, and it could be very much crazy. So I have this problem every time I go to a DGA event, and I know a number of ADs that are in the DGA. I know, like, there's like thousands of members, but community in New York is very small, and I see some of the same ADs over and over again. I work with them, they come to events, and I don't know if they remember me, and like also like coming up as a PA, seeing like working with key PAs or other seconds, whatever, and I remember them from years ago, or even from like 2 years ago or something, and I see them, and I just walk around as if I'm incognito, and I'm like this perfect stranger, and no one knows me, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure they don't remember me. Like I always have that where I'm almost positive they have no idea who I am. They don't know. They don't remember. Like they have no recollection of me working with them ever. And I always have this problem. But then come to find out later, after I like totally ignore everyone, don't say anything to anybody at certain events because I'm there for like a meeting or something, that they're like, oh, why didn't Amber say hi? And I'm like, because I just didn't think I was significant enough. So I definitely have a problem when it comes to like social anxiety, where like I can hold my own, but I also feel very awkward and sometimes. But at the last meeting, we had a DGA meeting where we have an annual meeting where everyone comes together on the East Coast and we get together in New York, whatever. And I was like, I talk to certain people. I'm like, it's okay, Amber. I'm like, around other ADs who are like my level and above, and I'm like at the bottom of the barrel, and I'm like, I'm going to say hi to people. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to do all the things. I'm like really, really nervous. But I think after putting myself in that uncomfortable position and actually talking to people and actually having a couple drinks actually does help with this. That's why there's alcohol at these things, guys. I'm not condoning drinking or getting drunk, but I'm just saying, like, it does help ease the nerves, I will say. So after like a drink, I was like, all right, I think I'm ready to put myself out there and talk to people and and I actually did. And I said, they have these events. This is really cool. They have these events in the DGA where they have certain panels. And the one panel that I watched was a focus on women, where they had women UPMs, and they talked about being a UPM. And if you don't know what a UPM is, it's a production manager of a film. They pretty much are the ones that follow the numbers, vendors, hire people, all this stuff. They have like control of the office, and not control, but they manage the office and the production on set side. So they do a lot. The UPMs are super vital on a set. And if you have a UPM that's a hot mess, your show is not running smoothly. So I was really interested. So I watched this thing, and then one of the women that were on the panel, I don't remember her name, but I remember her face. She was very, very identifiable, and I saw her in person. I was like, I'm so sorry to interrupt. She was talking to an AD that, funny enough, did not remember working with me, and he worked with me just last year. So I was like, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I just want to say that like, you were amazing on that panel. Thank you for doing that. I think I'm looking up to you as a first AD and a UPM, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh my God, what's your name? And it was like very, very nice. And I was like, I'm proud of myself. I talked to a complete stranger. So networking events are very hard for some people, but I think when you put yourself out there and you do the hard work and you get in that uncomfortable position, coming out of it, you're like, I did it. And you feel very accomplished, and someone might remember you, so you never know. Film trainings and workshops are another way, and I'm not going to be like, yes, I'm plugging Beyond Film School, but the reason why I created Beyond Film School and my set PA training is because I need to hire people, and I want to hire people, and I want to give people opportunity. And I was having trouble staffing my shows and staffing the movies I was on, and it was kind of hard to find people that I could rely on. So while, yes, I get to mold the people I want to hire, I get to give them jobs. So trainings and workshops, that's another way of networking. And I tell my set PA trainees, as soon as they're in that room together, I tell them, this is your first circle. Like, you may have other people, but like people who are just starting out, that is like their first circle. That's their first network in the film industry, where one of them might be on something and then they get hired for another gig and they need someone to fill in. Well, then they can, reach out to one of their, BFS alum. They can reach out to Beyond Film School alum. So that is the first circle. I preach this, and I don't create a community, and I don't really want to create the community where I mean, you're on this channel, you're watching this live stream. I don't want to create the animosity or the competition that a lot of, I guess, the film industry has, where it's like, well, we're competing, there's not many spots, so like, F you, and I'm coming over and I'm gonna stomp you out. I don't believe in that at all. I believe that there is enough success for everybody. Not right now, because there's like 3 shows shooting right now. But either way, like, I always say, bring people up with you as you succeed. And I definitely have been trying to instill that in everyone I train. And I feel like I'm trying to live it. Everyone has different goals. My goal is going to be way different than your goal. Like me, I want to be a first AD in the DGA. Like right now I'm on the second AD tier, and my AD buddy or my PA buddy next to me, they may want to be a writer. They may want to be a director. They may want to be a producer. Like, I don't want to be a producer. If you become a producer, then if I'm great to you and we're friends and I help you come up, when you're a producer, you can hire me as a first. Just for me, it just makes sense. A lot of people are like, no, that's not how it works. It definitely does work like that. 100%, it definitely does work like that. Offering free time on a friend's short film, you're like, this is gonna go nowhere. I'm not gonna make. What is this gonna do, right? Some people are like, he's making a stupid short film and it doesn't mean anything. But you never know who you'll meet, who their friends are. They might be bigger players. They may know bigger people. You have no idea. People always discredit someone's short film and I don't know why, because it's all about making connections around like, if you get around the people that are in this industry, it is so useful. So I say, if you're trying to help a friend out and you want to work on their short film, why not? You never know what's going to happen. First of all, you're going to get experience. You're going to get on set. You can use those short little projects as lines in your resume. You'll probably get a little credit on IMDb as well. So it helps build. So those little projects that your like little friend is making, like even if it's like a crew of just like the camera person, sound, and like just they're like getting together on the weekend to do something fun, why not? Because if you really want to get into film and you really love film, you'd probably do it. Like, why not just say, yeah, I'm not doing anything on Saturday, why not? Right? So I always say, do not discredit, do not like poo-poo anyone's like, hey, we're just getting together. And I know people who are, they just want to get together and they make something because maybe like the union stuff they're working on is just taking too long. They want to make their own content because let me tell you, you will get so bogged down by the number of hours that you are working when you are actually in the industry Monday through Friday, working 70 hours, 80 hours a week, sometimes more. It's crazy. You're working more. And then by the time you get to the weekend, you're like, I am so tired and exhausted. But then you're like, I'm a shell of a person of myself and I haven't done anything fulfilling. Everyone who gets into film is largely creative, and they got into this because they love storytelling. They want to tell stories. They want to tell the perspective of someone that is underserved, or they want to just experience the community and all. So there's a reason why you've gotten into film, and a lot of the times when we have those union jobs where everyone's like, yes, union jobs, we're getting paid, but also what is it doing for your soul? Like, how is that feeding into the things that you love to create? How is the thing that you're working on, that it's an action show or a TV show, is that speaking to you? Is that really like, first of all, I think there are so many people that are in the industry that are in positions that do see it as just a job, which I don't blame you. I get it. There are so many people who are like, yes, I'm a PA. I don't care. I do a job, that's it, I go home. Or I'm a grip, I'm like an electrician, I'm a prop person, whatever, I go home, blah, blah. But there are so many people I talk to who want to be writers, who want to be producers, they want to share stories and stuff. So like a lot of people who are just shooting something on the weekend are those people who they want to fulfill something, they want to create, they want to be like, they want to make something. So short films, freebies, definitely do it. This is very low on the list for me. Back when film job websites were actually free, I was on those websites. I definitely was. Like, we're on new ones today, like PA Central. Obviously, Mandy has turned into Film and TV Pro. They are charging. Backstage.com has a crew side to it now. So not only are they hiring actors and they do castings, they do the crew. Like, they're hiring crew through Backstage. So definitely hit up Backstage or Stage 32, staffmeup.com. There are so many different websites that you can go to. And actually Craigslist. Yes, Craigslist is still a thing. I just did a short film a couple weekends ago, and one of the crew was on, and they were one of my trainees, and I was like, oh, hey, I didn't expect to see you here. Like, how'd you get on this show? And he was like, Craigslist. And I was like, what? So people are still using Craigslist to hire crew. Now, just be weary of like all the scams that are out there, because yes, if anyone's asking you to deposit a check, no, that is a scam. We don't do that. If anyone's paying you like a crazy astronomical amount, it's probably a scam. No, there's a bunch of them. Production Hub, Production 411. There's so many things out there, and yes, there's like corporate jobs, and when they have talk shows and reality TV and like documentaries, all of it. So there's so much out there. I used to get hired a lot off Mandy, but then when they started charging, I was like, no, I just don't believe to charge the person who's applying for the job. I hate that. Maybe I'm just old school. I just don't like it. So I don't use job websites. I haven't used one in a very, very, very long time. I know people who swear by them, people who have gotten hired multiple times from them. So if that is for you, it works out, definitely, for sure. So emailing, messaging people you want to become. Now this one is scary for a lot of people. I get it. This is scary for a lot of folks out there. I know. I had nothing to lose when I was just starting out, so I emailed and messaged everyone I could. And I probably should have put it on this, put it on the screen. I put it like the emailing I did, and I finally got a lead, and someone was like, go to this building, do this thing, get your resume, pass the resume out. If you get it in someone's hand, even better. And that is like the reason why I got into this industry, is because I listened to somebody, but I emailed like 1,000 people. Probably more like 500 people. I emailed like 500 people when I first got to New York. Every day I would just email like 20 more people, 20 more people, 20 more people, 10 more people, a couple more people. So when I wasn't working, it was like my job when I wasn't working was to reach out to people who worked in film just for anything. Like, hey, I'm new to New York. I'm trying to be a day player PA, willing to learn. Here's my resume. Real quick email. And someone finally said something. And I got a lot of like, hey, I'm not in New York anymore. Or, I don't work in the film industry anymore. And like some answers were like that. So some I just didn't get replied to, and that's fine. But also like, I had to keep doing it. And also like right now, so many people are on social media and they'll take your DMs, like just reach out to people. If you find someone that's like a script supervisor, like, yes, oh my goodness, like you seem pretty dope. I want to be a script supervisor. What do you think? What did you do? This and that. Also like, just look at like, just really willing to have a conversation with anyone, and not just to get a job, but to learn, genuinely just learn. Am I just saying something scary? This was and is scary for me. Yes, this is very, very true. It is very scary, but here's the thing, it's like you have nothing to lose, and know this. Know that the worst that can happen is that say, don't email me anymore. Don't message me anymore. Or they just ignore you, which sometimes some people would debate that the ignoring is harder than being told no, or go away, or leave me alone. I never got anything that was hostile. So I just, most of it was like no one replied to me. But then the one person that was like willing to help me changed my life. So you never know. Like, and I didn't stop. Just like persistence is key, folks. And I tell everyone this, nothing is going to be instant. It's going to be a long, slow, uphill battle. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that is the reality. It is definitely the reality. And you're going to have like, it's going to be like ebbs and flow where like, yes, one year it's going to be great. Next year it's not going to be so great. The next year it's going to be amazing, or it's going to go up and down for you. And it's just, no, it's not like straight to the top. I'm sorry. There's just, that happens to like less than 1% of the people in this world. New York 411, I think is a resource you told me about, but also LinkedIn. I just don't want to sound corporate, boring if I just write someone an email. So here's the thing, is that, Amanda, there are ways to write emails. Be personable. Show your personality. And I get emails every now and then, people who are looking for jobs, or people who find me on Beyond Film School, find me through my website or my YouTube channel or whatever, and they're like, this is my resume, I'm just trying to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, they're talking to me as if they're a real person. They sent me their stuff. They want me to look it over, whatever. people who are just themselves and their authentic selves, and I can tell through the words that they're using in their email or their message, I can tell they're being a person. I appreciate that a whole lot more. Even if they make mistakes, I appreciate that. Like, I appreciate the hustle. I appreciate the grind. You know what I mean? I appreciate that they're reaching out and they're fighting for their time to get on set. They're fighting for the opportunity. I appreciate that so much. But then you get other emails that are very formal, and I hate it. I'm just like, why are you being a robot? Please show him, like, hi, Amber, I am this, this, and this, and I am from blah, 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 and I would like to blah, 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 and this is my resume, and if you couldn't, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my goodness, like, that's just, they're not showing me anything but a robot, and that, I can't do it. Like, I'm like, okay, so can you show me yourself? And that's the thing with film. I feel like we want to know your personality more than this corporate structure. Like, get away from suburbia. Get away from the corporate structure. Be yourself, because I promise you, if you are your authentic self, you will go further faster. Okay, ending the stream right here. But I really, really mean that. It's like, if you are your authentic self and you can show that in the email and just be like, you know, hey, like, sometimes people can be, and I know that there's an argument to be made where people get too comfortable or they're too relaxed, or like, hey, this is my resume, just want you to look at it. Okay, that's a little bit too bare minimum, right? That's probably not enough. Where for me, it was like, hello, so I got your email. I would tell them where I got their email from. Like, first of all, like, that's also kind of a good tip to put in there. Like, how do you get this email? How did you find out of me? Why are you emailing me? It's like, I got your email from so-and-so, and I found you to be this, this, and this, and I would really like your guidance in this, or whatever. Like, it's just, be honest. How'd you get their information? Why are you seeking them out? Why do you want their opinion? Why do you want their advice? What are you trying to get? Like, are you trying to get help? Are you trying to get a job? Because also, I feel like it's more than just looking for a job, right? It's like advice. Look for that advice. Look for something to learn. Like, look for something to learn from, rather than just like the means to an end. Do not be afraid to email people. Be yourself in the messages. But also, if they don't reply to you, you're going to take that as, you're going to take the L. You're going to take the L, move on to the next person. And a lot of times, if you don't get an answer, some people like want to keep emailing or don't stalk them and don't spam them. And also, for another thing, in the Facebook groups that I did not mention, is don't spam those groups. Do not. And I know the grind is real. I know the grind is real. So it is very, very tempting to go into those groups and be like, hi, I am a production assistant that just moved here and I'm looking for work. I have this, this, and this, and I've done this, this, and this. Would love to work with you guys. Here's my resume. Email me here. All you're doing is annoying the group. That is spamming the group. Don't do it. Just wait for the job post to come in. Don't spam people in the group. Don't spam people as far as messaging, DMing, or emailing. And if they don't answer you back, take the L, move on.